Welcome back to another edition of AI Rabbit Holes. This is a video series on my channel where we go down the rabbit hole of artificial intelligence, as there's literally a never ending list of rabbit holes to go down. And in this edition, I'm excited to have on Solomon Christ. Now, Solomon is one of the sharpest minds out there, in my opinion, when it comes to N8N and AI automations. I had the opportunity to meet Solomon at N8N's event in New York City a few months ago. Solomon, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. Very grateful to be here, and hopefully we have some fun and I can answer some questions.
Absolutely, man. You teach companies and individuals how to build automations that actually work. And you have a lot going on for sure. So, first, can you just do a quick overview of kind of what you're doing and some of your top AI automation projects that you're working on?
Yeah, so I'm here just teaching, the world at large how to really use AI. The challenge is we hear about AI, but then you go into the courses and programs, and everything's like going deep into data science, and it's like all of a sudden you're like, I need to know like high levels of math, and I need to know like all the inner workings of these things called LLMs and all this other stuff. Like seriously. And that was me when I first went in, and I applied to like 1,000 plus jobs and I couldn't even get one. I'm like, this is insane. And it's like you feel like, even though like I'm a technical person, I'm a software developer. Even for me, I was like, this just went over my head, and I felt really bad. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. But when it came down to it, it was like, that's actually, I mean, it's great. Data science is there, and you got these deeper layers, but the actual stuff that most people really need is the day-to-day use case. And that's where I kind of got juiced up, and I'm like, let's look at the real world application of this. How do we get people to use this where it's like it gives us a return on investment, a return on our time, and like a human being can actually use this stuff. And that's when I started really just going into it deeper, and that's where I found N8N, and I went into like all these tools. And now I'm teaching, and I'm on Leland, and I've got my AI boot camp coming up. It's my very first one. It's so exciting, and I've been going around just helping others. And for me, one of the biggest things that I love doing is connecting people up in communities. And so I was like, okay, let's go out there. And when I went to New York and I met the N89 team, I met all of you and so many people. I'm like, let's just connect everyone up. And we just did that, and it became this amazing thing now where I've developed some incredible friendships, connected with other AI and automation professionals, and just bringing AI to the world. I think it is so important that people understand that it is not just going into the data science side, which is great, but how do you actually use it, no matter whether you're a real estate agent or a mortgage broker or a parent, right? Or a student? How do I actually apply AI to my life where I am still that student, but with AI, or I'm still that job seeker or that worker or that parent with AI, rather than I got to now change my entire industry and become an AI engineer, which is not what this is.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
I completely
you know what I mean?
on that for sure. There's a lot of like in depth, in the weeds stuff going on. It makes people feel like they're overwhelmed. They don't know what's going on. They feel behind. Let's talk
Yeah.
about N8N here quickly for a little bit, because
Sure.
like a thought leader for them, I would say, just how much of an
Thank you.
advocate you are for N8N. First of all, why N8N? And then can you provide some just like basic real world use cases that any small business or individual could implement with not necessarily N8N, but just any AI automation platform?
Yeah. So, um, I generally do my best not to be like a tool person or a tool lover. I came from a gaming background, and in the video game industry, I started off with Shiva 3D, which was a video game engine, and I was like, okay, I fell in love with that tool, and then I was like pro at it. Then I jumped over to Unity and Unity 3D, and I was part of the Unity Live Help team. Same idea, and then you get Unreal Engine. So there was so many different tools. Um, Now when I gauge things, I test out things. I look at where the community is and what is usually helpful. Like is this a really useful item? And N8N came with that in mind. It was, community first, and it came at a time where it was focused on AI. You look at competitors like Zapier and Make, they've been automation focused. And before that, I mean, when you think about the automation industry, you started off with, BPA, which is business process automation. Then you have RPA, which is a robotic process automation. You get those there. But they were very focused on the automation side. And so Zapier and Make were kind of like in the automation space. So N8N was the AI and automation space. And that's kind of where it took off. But the biggest key was they made it community first. And that shifted the market where I can now use N8N on my, local system. I could install it on my own server and I can use the cloud edition depending on what fits best for me. And it was more focused on get the solutions rather than pay me money for every little like token or thing that I do.
Or
And
Zap.
when you yeah, or Zap, there you go. And I think I was just seeing another post where someone was like, "Oh yeah, I'm leaving N8N for Zapier," and I'm like, "How much did they pay you to say that?" Because it's ridiculous the amount of money that people are spending on things like that. And it's great for like enterprises. Sure, you could pay more money, but we're starting to see that N8N can actually hold its own even in enterprise environments. So
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Solomon, I'm a make.com user, right? I
there you
will
go.
say this, I respect the heck out of the community and the marketing that N8N has. And it's very evident, like you just explained, why Zapier and make.com and maybe Gumloop and some others have really dropped the ball on the marketing side of things. But one thing I want to ask you too, and we saw this everywhere. I made a funny post about this last week that we see companies like OpenAI or Google try to roll out their own AI automation platforms with Opal or OpenAI Agent Builder. And every creator, not every creator, right? All the gimmicky
Yeah.
creators, they're like, bye bye N8N. Here comes ChatGPT's Agent Builder and Google Opal to save the day.
Yeah.
Do you think that these companies could actually build something serious to take market share from an N8N? Like, what are your thoughts on that whole thing?
So I'll tell you this much. Absolutely, it is always possible, right? So no one should ever like kind of sleep on the side just because you're at a moment where you're like at the top. I would say at this current moment, N8N has been focused on some of the problems that come up eventually with these sorts of tools, but they've been hyper focused on N8N. OpenAI, in my opinion, has been kind of like the McDonald's. It's like a little taste of everything, and they're always trying to learn and kind of say, "Oh, let's release this, or let's release that." Like they're always releasing something brand new to test the waters. And I think they realized early on as they started pushing GPT that as much as it's a cool, tool, unless you can actually get some ROI out of it, like how do we as business owners or creators use this to actually save time, save money, they realized that that was the key. And with N8N, people are already doing that. And so that's why you even see OpenAI going to trying to be advisors. And I think at one point they were charging like $20,000 a month for, do you remember that? Like 20,000 for like an agent?
Yeah, I don't think I remember that, but I completely agree with your analogy.
Yeah.
McDonald's, they're trying to be like a mainstream AI solution with ChatGPT, right? Obviously, that's definitely probably the biggest mainstream name in AI today. I would not argue that. But I completely agree with
Yeah.
you. They might have the resources, they might have the talent, the tools, but it comes down to the priorities, right? And like
That's
what's
right.
profitable for these companies. And so you make a great point. I don't know the answer to that. I think they might try and they'll try to use their distribution and PR machine to like hype it up. But I think at the end of the day, I think the community and those who are actively building in N8N, Make.com, Zapier, they're going to be very
Yep.
hesitant to just drop what they're doing and then shift gears to an OpenAI
Yep.
or a Google Opal, for instance.
And by the way, for the teams that make and Zapier and stuff like that, this is definitely not to dog you guys down. Those two companies have done very well, and I think what's happened right now is nobody expected an 8N to kind of take off to the next level, and I think this is kind of like a time where they're just like, "What do we do?" Right? This is big, kind of like what Google had, when OpenAI came and just instantly market shifted, right? So I think this is now an opportunity for Make and Zapier to really just now reanalyze themselves and say, hey, how do we get that community back? And how do we, focus on community first? Because that is the biggest key. Wherever the community is going, that's where you want to build. And I think that's actually a good thing for both of those companies and for any other automation company coming out is take a few pages out of what N8N has been doing. They've been really focusing on connecting with the people who are, users, right? And I think that's it. And when you start doing that, you're going to see a difference. So I don't think that these two companies are like dead in the water, or on the opposite end where OpenAI is coming in and they're going to kill off N8N. I think it's now understanding that automation with AI is a landscape. It is a very important one. It's an industry now on its own, and that this is going to be important that you start building out the tools and use cases that will, develop real world ROI that people can quantify and say, oh yeah, this saved me real time, this saved me real money. And it's like if I'm going to now save, let's say, 50,000 or $100,000 on an employee, how much am I spending? Well, if I'm gonna go to make, and it's like I think one report was like they're spending like 50 to $100,000 on make, but now you spend $200 a month on N8N. I mean that's a balancing act that you're looking at, right?
Yeah, and the other thing too, I think that we can attribute to N8N's growth, at least in my opinion, is the term AI agents and the popularity of AI agents. You can track this back to Google Trends and see the spike from a few years ago, or maybe just even in a year. And N8N was so on top of agents, they made the module very easy to build an AI agent.
That's right.
This is where I struggle with make.com. It's still in beta mode. Like, yes, I built AI agents in Make, but it's nothing that ever comes to fruition versus just building an AI automation instead. And so, what I want to ask
That's
you
right.
now, Solomon, is let's compare agents versus automations. And I guess where do automations perform agents and where do agents maybe perform automations?
Yeah. So I think it's I mean, I'm actually going to be teaching this next week as well. Uh, is the hierarchy of these things here. So when you look at just an automation itself, there is no agents in between. There's just like these are kind of like it's like a toaster. I know I can put the bread in, press a button, toast will come out, right? It's like very, guaranteed sort of thing. At the highest level, this is going to work, right? So that's what an automation is all about. When you mix in the AI with the AI agent, if it's part of the process, maybe it's just doing, for example, let's say email. I need to detect what this email is: positive, neutral, and negative, right? So maybe it's a detection. That's AI agent within the actual thing. Like it's AI plus automation, but it's not agent yet. It's when we start adding tools into that AI, that's when it becomes an agent. And then when we get into agentic, that's when you have another like AI agent node, which now controls several other AI agent nodes and makes the decisions along the way. It becomes more and more, I would say, probabilities where it can now have a lot of problems when you get to those levels. Whereas when you focus on automation, it's much more accurate. And so I think, going in between those two, you want to, choose the stuff that's going to be important to you for creativity versus mission critical. If it's mission critical, less of the AI is actually better, and that's in my opinion. The less AI you have, yeah, the more you're gonna have like stuff that you can rely on. But there's gonna be times where it's like, okay, customer service, I'm gonna use AI for that because I get more personality from the AI bots. And I mean, if I really want to go deeper, I can go to Grok 4 and it'll swear at people if you want it. Like it really depends on who your customer base is, right? And what you're trying to do. Versus if it's like, hey, you know what, I really need to be focused on making sure that the answers or the outputs are highly, targeted and they match what I'm doing. Less automation, sorry, less AI and more automation on that is.
Yeah. So let's talk about agents quickly. Like, what are some real world use cases that you've actually used an AI agent and implemented in the real world?
Yeah, great question. I would say for me specifically, it'd be on detection, detecting certain things. So, for example, a news bot, right? This is a general use case that a lot of people will do is they'll create a news bot in N8N, but I need to detect out of let's say 50 articles what's actually important, right? Or maybe I'm going to several news sources. Maybe there's 10 different news sources. Now I can use a regex to kind of like find duplicates, but sometimes it's like even with all of that, that's still not finding me the duplicates that I need because I might have something that says ChatGPT 5.1 just launched, and then I have another news article that says OpenAI launches its latest model. Those are the exact same news article, but regex is not going to detect that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas an actual AI command will, where you go into OpenAI, it'll detect that these two are the same. So I would say that's where you can actually use AI agents to kind of help you out.
So, do you think most people or businesses or people in general should pursue automations versus agents? Like, what are some common mistakes that you see businesses still making with this stuff?
I would say right now, businesses need to sit down and know their SOP. Like, what are you trying to accomplish here? I think in this whole world of like AI and AI agents, everyone's just throwing AI at things where it's like, you just did not even have proper systems in place, and you're just throwing AI, wishing that it's a magic bullet. I think that's the problem that I'm seeing in the industry right now. Is everyone's just taking it and wishing that it's going to work for them, and then when it doesn't, they just say AI doesn't work. When that is definitely not true. It's basically you didn't even have SOPs in place. You didn't take the time to sit down as a business owner and say, like, step by step by step, this is what I need to do. Whether it is marketing or whether it's sales or whether it's whatever it is, first understand your processes, then see where you can actually add automation in place first. Then where can you add AI, right? And that's kind of like the steps that I would recommend for
I've
business
dealt with
owners.
this before on a lead generation perspective, right? Where some businesses I talk to, their CRM hasn't been cleaned out in over 2 years. They have dead
That's
leadership.
right.
Everything's screwed up, but they just want an
Yeah,
agent to like act as a silver bullet and solve all their problems. Like,
that's right. They think that AI is gonna be a magic solution when it's like you don't even know your target market yet. I don't care how great of an AI agent you've got. If you don't know who you're selling to, your problem is not getting AI. It is you don't know who your customer is. You
Yeah,
know,
for sure. And then most people overcomplicate things too. So if you had to say, Solomon, like going back to your educator hat on, like what's the fastest path for a beginner to build like an actual automation that moves the needle in 30 days? Like what is the fastest path for someone to actually sit down and learn this stuff and build something that actually produces in the real world?
that's a great question. So first and foremost, I would say is first understand what you're trying to build, right? Just because you can build a whole bunch of cool stuff. I mean, you might watch Nate's videos or one of our videos, right? And it's like, whoa, I could create this cool thing. Is it actually something that you need, right? Or are you just trying to go and show, show off, right? I mean, I think one of Nate's ones was like he had created something in Nano Banana or something like that, where it's like it cuts a fruit and it's like sounds really cool. It's like this viral video, but is that something you really need? It's
For
it's
most
it's a
people,
cool
probably
thing.
not. Yeah.
Probably not, exactly. Whereas, for example, I saw Jack's videos and it was like he created this lead gen thing where you can go into Google Maps and just generate all the leads in there. That could be very useful. But if you don't need those leads because you didn't define your persona yet, you don't need AI. You need a marketing course. You know, so that's what it comes out to. So I
You're
think the
hitting a really
fastest.
good point here, Solomon. I apologize for interrupting you there. No,
No worries, please.
you have to be an expert on whatever the subject is or tasks that you're trying to accomplish before you just open the floodgates of agents, automations, and then whatever you're trying to do. You have to understand fundamentally what looks good, what moves the needle. Like for me in the marketing world, I don't know how many AI UGC or viral
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
automation we see all over LinkedIn from these gurus, but it's like, what does that actually accomplish? It might be cool that your video got a million views, but let's say
Yep.
all those views were the wrong eyeballs. You didn't capture emails. So what was the point of that? For you to just post some viral thing on social media so you could get people
Yeah.
to comment below and get your free template and work them through a funnel, right? I understand how this stuff all works, but like that's
That's
what
right.
I'm saying is like people need to understand what moves the needle before we just
Yep.
use AI as like a one click.
People already have their own business. So if you've been in business for a while, your greatest customers are not brand new customers. People are like, oh, I need brand new customers. You've already got customers that paid you, that have been there that you have not even used yet. Like you've got newsletter emails, you got emails sitting down of past clients that they already did business with you. They like you, they trust you, they already understand you. Why aren't you marketing to them first, right? And this is where I see it's like, oh, I need to get these leads, and they'll go and see one of the cool videos online of like, here's all the lead gen. I could use Apify, and now it could get a whole bunch of leads, or Apollo, and it's like, okay, wonderful, but it's like you've already got a powerhouse. I'm working right now with a client who didn't even realize they've got like 2,000 emails and clients from 15 years,
This goes
right?
back to cleaning up your CRM on a very basic.
That's right. That's right. And so we're just working with that first. I'm like, we don't need to go down to Apollo and Apify and all this other stuff yet. Like, absolutely, it's great, but let's work with what you got already. And that's what I would say is for business owners out there, first realize what you have, do what Ryan just said, just clean up your list, but then just message them. Like, perfect example is end of year holiday gift, right? So it's like I would send out, I would go to my past 100 customers and say, hey, thank you so much for being a customer. Here's like a $10 Amazon gift card.
Yeah.
That alone would just get you a whole bunch of business from like, the amount of money. I think what, $100 and $10 gift cards, that's like $1,000.
Yeah.
You are probably going to spend $1,000 on your list that you're going to buy or whatever you're going to do for AI and automation. Just send them all $10 gift cards and say, thank you for your business. And you would actually have business next year,
Yep,
you know?
absolutely. It's always shiny to go after what's new, but you and I both know it's the simple stuff that actually scales, moves the needle in the big picture.
That's it.
Solomon, we're going to dive into some rapid fire AI questions now. This is all
Sure.
a segment of AI rabbit holes. The first thing I'm going to ask you here is that just give me some quick answers to these. What is your boldest prediction for AI automations in the next 6 to 12 months?
AI and automations are going to become the mainstream thing. The trouble is right now we see so many people who are just using ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity and all that, and it's cool they're getting an answer. But I think finally, the market is starting to shift, especially those who've been GPTers for a while, to like, great, I need to do more, and that's why Agent Kit was invented because they realized, oh yeah, we need people to do more. That's why people are connecting up their apps. They're like, oh cool, now I can finally get it to read my emails and read my calendar. Yeah, we've been doing that in N8N forever, right?
Yeah.
So
Talk about MCP within ChatGPT.
yeah, they've added the MCP and all that other stuff. But even just like the fact that we could connect up and do more than just get a response from an AI, that's the key. That's what people want. They want to get to that, right? So that's what I would say is AI and automations are going to be there, and they're going to be getting into IoT devices like glasses like yours, where we just tap a button and all of a sudden, like on the latest metas, it's like, hey, you know what? I can now press a button and maybe connect up to an N8N automation or something like that.
Yeah, the Internet of Things. I haven't even thought about that and how AI is going to be integrated there. The next question
Massive.
I have: AI agents today, are they overhyped or underutilized?
Oh, it's not that they're overhyped; they're misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
I think that's what's going on. There's people don't understand what AI agents are and what they're capable of and how to use them. Even for me, like even with all that I know, I'm learning something new every day with these things and what they're capable of. And then on the other end is the ethics, right? Like how far do we let these things go when we actually, let them go wild? Like because they represent us. It's kind of like when you go onto, in the marketing world, you've got marketing tools which will automatically post for you, but you predefine the message usually, right?
Right.
What do you do when the AI is generating the message? Hopefully, it's using your voice, but it's not you who said something. We're going to start getting into AI, future where it's like maybe the AI is committing crimes that you didn't even know, right? It's saying things that you had no clue with your voice, with your name and your brand. We saw that with Microsoft in the early days when they had their Microsoft AI going on Twitter and saying all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, um, when you start getting into agents doing that and you've not properly trained the agents or you've not properly set guardrails, hence guardrails and N8N node, check
Yeah.
that out. But if you've not set guardrails in place, agents can take a mind of their own. And so it's kind of like you want to make sure that you are protecting yourself with these agents. So both sides. So it's like those who don't use it, they don't know what it is. And those who use it too much and they're just like relying on it. I think both are two extremes. I think somewhere down the middle, we got to balance, but understand that agents are powerful tools. And when you use them wisely, they can do some incredible things.
Yeah, misunderstood. I really liked your answer to that question. So, Solomon, what's one automation that you run daily that might surprise people?
Ah, one automation that I run daily that might surprise people. Um, well, if, I would say, of course, the news bot. I always am going there. The news bot is one of the most basic, common ones that I'm always running. Um, I would say another one is a backup system. So I actually have on my N8N a daily backup, and I use the daily backups for not just N8N but for other things as well, because there's so many things that we need to back up that we don't realize, right? So, for example, I've got my Obsidian for note taking, so I'll have that backed up, right? And then on top of that, using these same backups where they become a data source. So now you could actually go in and just put it into a RAG application or inside of a Notebook LM, for example, and just talk to your documents and stuff.
Yeah, I love that. What's the most overrated best practice in the automation world right now?
Overrated best practice. Um,
I'll give you
it's a
mine.
good question.
It's this
Yeah,
idea
please
that
tell me.
more nodes equals better outputs. That would be my most overrated.
Uh, yeah, I would say what just kind of what we were discussing that they think that AI is going to be, or when you mix AI into the automation, that's going to be your magic bullet and it's going to fix everything. AI is actually the last thing you want to put in an automation. People think it's the first thing, and I would say that's the overrated thing right now is that everyone's like, "Oh, just throw the AI node and it's going to fix it."
Yeah, for
And
sure. We
yeah,
gotta get past that mindset, and that's what we're trying to educate people on with our channels or our, LinkedIn, whatever we're posting on. What do you think is the most dangerous thing someone can automate without realizing it's actually dangerous? You kinda talked about this a little earlier, but anything else top of mind there?
oh, bank accounts and stuff, any financial data and stuff, do not automate that thing.
That's why I don't really trust these, like, one-click checkout from ChatGPT or
Yeah.
Perplexity, Comment, buying stuff for you on Amazon, like, I don't trust that stuff with a 10-foot pole. I don't know
So,
about you.
so what I would do is I would go, I would like use it to the point of the human interaction point. So, for example, absolutely use the agentic browser to put everything inside of your cart and do the research. I think that's a time waste from me personally, where I have to like go through it and research, is this product better than that other product and that one?
Yeah, research is great for sure.
Research and put it into my Amazon cart, no problem. But when it comes time to buy, there's no way in hell you're clicking the buy button. Right? Unless I actually go in there and actually check it. So that's what I'll do is I'll go and check it. But there are going to be use cases where it does make sense when the AI gets better and more powerful. So perfect example, you've got Bob. Bob loves pasta. Every Tuesday is Pasta Tuesday. All right. And you know what? We're going to have, agents within our devices, IoT. You've got a special smart fridge of the future, an AI fridge, which can detect all the calories that are in your fridge, what's missing for your pasta that's coming up tonight. It's going to detect what fruits and vegetables are going bad even before you know it. And so when Bob walks in home from work, guess what? It's already pre-ordered on Amazon or wherever the actual ingredients that are missing. And boom, Bob walks in and there's all the ingredients. That's just the first step. The second step is when we get into robots, which are agentic and agents as well, where now that robot actually goes and grabs those tomatoes, cooks the meal, and Bob comes home to a ready to go meal. I mean, that's the next steps, but we have to first get to trust.
Yeah.
And until we can trust that these things are going to do exactly what they're supposed to do, it's hard to actually trust them yet. You know what I mean?
There's a big data privacy, data security issue with big tech
Right.
in the picture as well. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. That's a whole separate video. Last question I have for you on this. When it comes to agentic browsers between Atlas, Comet, Dia, or even Google Chrome's latest editions with Gemini, who do you think wins that race of agentic browsers?
I don't know as yet. I think that's still to be seen. I personally use Comet right now. That's one of the ones I've been using for a while because they've been there for a while. They've been there
Yeah.
for a lot longer. I know that Manus has their browser plugin that'll work across any Chromium style browser, so that will make it agentic, instantly, which is nice. I think it just comes down to what users are going to start, feeling comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so thus far, I don't see a clear winner yet or anything that's going to be a winner. I think from the OpenAI side, it's more of like me too, I could do it too sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think that OpenAI is really
Here
going
I
to,
am.
yeah, exactly. I don't think it's going to be like a winner in that sense. I think they're just trying to dip into too many things, and they're kind of half-assing it and doing a bad job across the board on a lot of things.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? Just the final point on that. They like to throw bags at Google and make fun of them and this and that. But what's interesting to me is that ChatGPT is expected to roll ads out in 2026. And so they're essentially copying Google's playbook all over again with just trying to build their own distribution systems because ad
Yep.
revenue makes up 60 to 70% of Alphabet's total revenue, right? So
Yep.
OpenAI is trying to get a piece of that pie. And it's just so interesting to me how now they're trying to copy that playbook, but do it within their own ecosystem. I find that super interesting.
I think this is the challenge from the outside looking in. I don't think they have a proper product model yet. I think that's what's going on there. They don't know how to monetize. All they've got is like monthly users of their ChatGPT system. But the challenge is, yeah, China comes in with DeepSeek and they beat it with a fraction of the cost. So, other than that, what do you really have, right? Other than the system of like very powerful models, and you're constantly upgrading models, and so they're trying to find what is the business use case, in my opinion, my personal opinion, of what is something that people actually need, and they're having trouble finding it. And so, honestly, in my opinion, I think what's happening is they're giving developers these free credits. Use it with a grain of salt, because I wouldn't be surprised if they're training on all the ideas that we're building to just replicate, replicate, replicate those ideas. You know?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think Google's actually set up to win this whole AI race in the long run anyways, with just the infrastructure, data, the talent. I think people were foolish to count Google out as early on as they did when they had that debacle with Bard and all the other mistakes that they made early on.
Yeah. No, I think what has happened is it what we discussed earlier, right? Like, I don't think any company should ever kind of like stop the ball and be like, oh yeah, yeah, we're number one and we're good. I think a few companies did that, and that's what happened. That's why the open AIs of the world came up and said, "Oh, Google, you're not innovating anymore." I think we're going to see that with Apple too. I mean, Apple, what's their latest phone that comes out? It's just a copy of the cool features that Android had brought out with some other competitors. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
um,
for sure.
and I'm like sitting down there. I'm like, you need to keep on innovating. If the second you stop innovating, that's when your company is going to start dying.
Especially now in the world of AI, where before it was just like you could wait a few weeks and you could, if you had the market share, but now it's like a matter of days. You stop innovating and someone else is going to take you over. But we could
I'm
go
going
on
to show you this.
forever. Yeah.
Have you seen something like this?
No, what is that?
So this here, and I'm going to show you this here. I can actually turn this thing on. This is a little device. Okay,
I know what it is. Is
it's
that a pendant where it listens to you and then it can follow?
it's a full deep seek robot. I could talk to this thing. I just click a button, and it hangs just on the lanyard. Okay. And it'll talk to me. I can talk to it just like a regular robot. There's a few toys that have come out like as well that they've, taken off shelves, which are powered by ChatGPT. This one's powered by DeepSeek in China. Um,
I hope that's locally that you're using that on.
yeah, well, unfortunately not. Yeah, I know exactly. So as I started learning more that these things can phone home and stuff like that, but the point is the matter of the fact that this thing here, this is only $20 US. That's the key here. This is what's going to happen, right? You're getting these models on cheaper and cheaper devices. It's going to be everywhere, right? And everything that we do, I think that's the biggest thing is the innovation, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
so accessible to the average person right now. But Solomon, thank you so much again for your time. We could keep going down these endless rabbit holes for probably
yeah,
hours at this point. But where's the best place for people to follow you online to learn more about what you're doing?
absolutely. So check out, on YouTube, Solomon Christ AI. That's how you get to me. There's just go to YouTube and just type in Solomon Christ AI, and what is it, at Solomon Christ AI, and then on Leland, that's where I'm teaching. You go to joinleland.com. So JOINLELAND. So joinleland.com, and that's where you'll be able to also learn from me. I mean, if you want to learn any of these new technologies, I've got my AI boot camps that are coming up, and I'm constantly teaching people how to become AI confident, go from AI zero to AI confident. I want to teach 1 million people how to be ready. This is a life skill now,
Yeah.
and that's what's going to be happening, and that's what I'm here to teach everyone.
I love it. And you're definitely on a good trajectory to 1 million people. No doubt about that. Well, Solomon, thank you again for your time. And thank you to everyone for listening or watching to this edition of AI Rabbit Holes. Be sure to tune in again next time.